is, number one, the feminization of poverty, with a woman with children not being able to find an affordable, viable apartment for her family.
It's a couple, by the way, and they're working, so it's not even that they don't have money.
Okay. And to further expand then, is gentrification now a civil rights issue?
Absolutely.
Totally.
Yes.
For our people who are listening on radio, they nodded their heads, yes.
No, I said absolutely.
Absolutely. So unpack that for us. Is gentrification, we've been deeply involved in civil rights. We've had 2 town halls here, but it doesn't immediately come to mind for lots of people that the very act of gentrification or being in a place could be a civil rights issue.
Well, I like what Mr. Schiffman said earlier, which is that it's the way that gentrification acts in communities like ours. That's the problem. And it's what comes along with gentrification and all of those displacement and those kinds of things, are really, really a problem. And if you look at it closely, and some of the greatest minds are now looking at it saying it absolutely is, or can be denoted as a civil rights issue. So I would have to agree there with that.
Yeah, I would like to second that as well. Being an organizer on the ground and really experiencing right along with my tenant leaders, which are the members of the Flatbush Tenant Coalition, we call them leaders, and just seeing the conditions that they have to live in and the harassment that they're subjected to, everything that the landlords and their owners of the buildings do to get them out of these apartments, it definitely hands down becomes a civil rights issue because their rights as human beings are being infringed upon. Their children are being affected. Just a little story about one of our buildings on Newkirk Avenue. They want to take criminal charges up against a lawsuit up against their landlord because their children were rushed to the hospital because for the umpteenth time the ceiling had collapsed on top of them. And this is something that happens. It's a normal thing, unfortunately, and because these landlords have so much incentive to deregulate the apartments that they're just doing whatever it takes to get these people out. And these are their homes that they've lived in for years, for decades, for centuries. And they're just being forced out just so that they can deregulate the apartments and new people can come in and be overcharged. So it definitely becomes a civil rights issue. The impacts, the effect that gentrification has on these neighborhoods.